Hey everybody, welcome back to the only podcast produced by three winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned in to the Check Engine Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Nick. I've got my two usual co-hosts here at the table with me. Andrew, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling wonderful. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Same question to you, Tristan. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling victorious after last week.
You should
I am
be.
ready to go.
As you should. As you should. Hey, listen, folks, we're not pros. We don't do this for a living. We don't work in the automotive industry or anywhere in motorsports. We're just car fans, and we love to talk about them, and we want to talk about them with you. So we thank you for listening, whether it be through anchor.fm/Check Engine Podcast or, basically anywhere else podcasts are streamed. But we don't want you just to listen. We want to know what you think. We have our own website, checkenginepodcast.com, and through that website, we have our very own email inbox. And in one of our most creative spats ever, we came up with inbox@checkenginepodcast.com is where you can reach us directly. We look forward to hearing from you. Guys, what are we talking about on this episode?
Ooh, today we're just on a streak of solving problems here.
Yeah, we've been
Helpful neighborhood check engine podcast.
And there's been a big one sort of looming over the head of one of the biggest automotive manufacturers in the world. Of course, we're talking about GM and we're talking about Cadillac.
Well, this kind of stemmed from another luxury brand CEO talking about how luxury brands are finding it hard to survive. Is that
It did. The
Yeah.
CEO of Aston Martin made some kind of bizarre comments about luxury brands.
Do we want to make this like its own integrated pace lap?
Maybe
Talk about what they said, what that means, what we're talking about, and then
Sure.
talk about Cadillac?
I think we can.
And I actually have a pace lap about Aston Martin anyway, so
Why don't you
besides
start there and let me pull it up? His exact words.
Okay, so while Andrew's doing that, we're going to get into... Man, Tristan's saving the day again.
Yeah.
Like, this kid's he's on a roll lately.
Season 2. His sophomore year strong.
He's coming into his own.
Took a break to reorganize my thoughts, and
His deep thoughts. And he's coming
Damn.
he's coming in strong in season 2. Yeah, so as we normally do here, we'll start off with what we like to call pace laps. And mine is really just like we put it up on social a few weeks ago. Did you guys see that new Tag Heuer edition Aston?
yes.
Yes, I did.
Andrew does not sound impressed. I'm not surprised, but
All that stuff always seems like like clickbaity to me. That's what it comes across as. No?
yeah. But I mean,
It's yes to a point, but it's also like any other special edition of anything. It's all advertising. So I don't hold it against them too much.
It was like the Victoria Beckham Land Rover.
Yeah, the Evoque.
Yeah, the Evoque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't hold it against them. I in fact I like the car itself. I couldn't care less who it was sponsored by. I didn't remember who it was until you just said it.
yeah, I don't.
That's a
I-
good
But
point.
I knew what you were talking about. I knew what you were going to ask, but I couldn't remember who was sponsoring it because I didn't care.
That's actually a really good point.
Well, that's kind of where I'm coming from too. I don't care if it was Tag Heuer or anybody else. That is a mean automobile. The Aston Martin DBS Superleggera is what we're talking about, and there's a special edition. Like I said, it's Tag Heuer. We really don't care. Like, and you get a watch to go with the car,
You better.
and you also get the patches sewn in the back of your seats. But besides that, just the black with the red stitching and the red trim, it just looks evil and it looks awesome, and I want one.
You
I
actually
agree.
want one.
Yeah.
You think it's
Yes.
wantable as well.
Yes.
And maybe that's what it is. It's not wantable for me for some reason. I can't really put my finger on it. Maybe I'm just not a watch guy. But no, it's
I'll
like
I'll give you the watch. I give two shits about the watch. I want the car.
Yeah, I don't want to watch either.
maybe I've fallen off Aston design or something. There's just nothing like grabbing me I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
I'll have to
much.
sit with that one.
I think much like our previous episode, I liked the simplicity. Just like a lot of these special editions have like, oh, we're gonna put this weird stripe down the side because this color symbolizes something.
Oh, yeah.
like or whatever. But it's like, no, this is like it's gonna be mean. The design language is anger, and I like it. It's pretty neat.
Like if I were to get car posters on my wall again, like I would find a poster of that one first at this point in my life. Like I love that car.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
that's big.
That's coming from
though.
a GM guy.
Not even
I'm
that.
skipping
I mean,
Corvette.
I'm thinking of your love.
Skipping the 458.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say 458.
Going right to the Aston Superleggera.
Wow. I just didn't have that reaction.
Specifically the Tag Heuer edition, like in that color.
Yeah.
Like a silver Aston Martin DBS, great, beautiful car, not poster worthy.
I think
the Tag Heuer Superleggera, poster worthy.
The only other one for me that comes close is the one that has the same basic. It's not a full livery, but paint scheme as the racing one, where it's the British racing green with kind of electric yellow headlights, like highlights around the headlights,
Yes.
and the like front fascia has that. That also is very much up my alley.
That I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just screams Aston Martin right in your ear.
It does.
Yeah.
And literally, too, because I'm sure that car's loud as hell.
Super loud.
Astonishingly loud.
So that was my kind of quick intro to Aston Martin. Andrew's got a little more serious deep dive with the CEO.
So we'll start here. Tristan's got a follow-up, and then we'll move kind of to where we're going. I think that should flow nicely. But, and oddly enough, I'm actually getting this from the GM Authority website.
Aha!
They actually published this, so all respect to them. The CEO of Aston Martin is a guy named Andrew Palmer.
Because of course he is.
Right. Well, actually circling back to, doing the end first, I think once again, it's, someone from the UK as opposed to what it was before. But, so Andrew Palmer was at the Automotive News World Congress, big event for people who are in the industry. And he said that there's a disadvantage to luxury brands that are in with regular OEMs. He said, quote, basically Cadillac inside of GM, Lincoln inside of Ford, or Infiniti inside of Nissan, none of them will make it, meaning all of those brands are going to be dead. He didn't have a timeline or anything, but he did say somewhere within the next 10 years, all those other brands will be gone.
So he thinks the only way luxury brands can survive is if they're independent.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting because he didn't mention Acura, and he didn't mention Audi, and he didn't mention Lexus, who are all luxury brands inside larger OEM brands.
Which in certain circumstances are the better known portion of that group, depending on who you ask. Like,
exactly.
In the know, sure, people are going to know that really Audi is a brand of Volkswagen, but a lot of people who are shopping for them and buying for them don't even make that association.
That's definitely true. And I know just from speaking to people, a lot of people see specifically the case of Audi being the lead brand.
Yes.
But they're not. They're a division of VWAG.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's an interesting discussion to have because he picked clearly the three weakest luxury brands, as he would, and he also decided to single out brands inside of larger ones. Aston has a very complex history with this. They were owned by Ford. Were they owned or a part of JLR for a while or something like that? I mean...
Yeah, they've kind of bounced around.
And once they won free of all of that, they started creating masterpiece cars like they used to in the 50s.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Because they didn't have to worry about the corporate red tape anymore. They didn't have to get things approved 3 or 4 levels up from someone who wasn't close to the day-to-day operations.
Well, I think more importantly, no one from Ford was coming to him with a Mondeo chassis and saying, here's what you're going to build your next Aston on, which would never work. And it didn't work.
That's also true. Yeah, I mean, it's... I would like to dig into more, like, is that the reasoning? Is because does he think they really can't... People are going to see through the charade that it's basically the same car as like the standard brand, like they're just building on the exact same platform with a different badge? Or I mean, I'm wondering what his reasoning is for it.
Well, again, if you look at the undeniable success of Lexus Lexus, Audi, and Acura specifically, all three brands who do platform sharing, who do, in the case of Lexus, just straight up badge engineering.
Yeah. Yep.
I see a difference between Acura, Audi, Lexus, and Lincoln, Cadillac. I just forgot the other
Infiniti?
one. Infiniti. First of all, two of the bad three were helmed by the same CEO, and he ran both brands into the ground. So let's get that out. Johan Denishison, however you say his name, whatever. He got run out of both Infiniti and Cadillac because he was trash. So that's one part of it, which I think is interesting, kind of a sidebar.
You have to mention it, though.
Yeah, because it is definitely kind of curious. But the other piece of it is, I think that those three brands, Lincoln, Infiniti, and Cadillac, have all been victims of incredible mismanagement. Whereas the other three are so successful because they built a target audience and they sold to them so heavily based on the reliability of the brands around them.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing of those three in particular is you look at, like, as we discussed in our previous episode, are we going to differentiate luxury and not luxury? And to a certain extent, people don't.
Right.
Already. And that's kind of why we went that way, because it's like, if I can get, a very luxurious, significantly more, highly engineered Volkswagen to meet my luxury tastes, that does mean something, as does, a fancy Honda if you're an Acura, or a moderately more fancy Toyota if it's a Lexus, which, I think that speaks to people. When you compare that to the other brands that we're looking at, you're looking at Ford, which is not too bad, but GM and Nissan, known for some things, but reliability and quality are not often one of them.
True. I would say that Nissan pushes that reputation. I don't know if they actually have it.
Right. Yeah. So, but I think that's something that it's, still driving that Lexus and myself, I totally understand why people just buy endless numbers of them. They have...
Because you have the newest iteration of that Lexus that every single person in the entire world sees 25 million times a day.
Yeah, and I don't see Lexus as being in any trouble because, you're always going to get someone who's going to buy, in this case, a Highlander with,
Bose.
With a fancy speaker, infinitely adjustable leather seats that when you turn the car off and unbuckle your seatbelt, pulls the seat back 6 inches so it's easier for you to get out.
Oh, yes.
Things like that. Like, people are going to buy a fancy Toyota because people buy Toyotas.
Right.
And people want fancy things. It's simple math. And I think that's why I don't buy what Aston Martin is saying.
Andrew Palmer.
Yeah.
No, I don't buy it
Aston
either.
Martin?
Isn't that his name?
Oh, nice. I don't buy it either, with the exception of the fact that the three brands he named, I actually think it's realistic.
Yeah, I think he's right with those three, but he mentioned them, but discussed the segment as a whole.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
very selective evidence that he's choosing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to segue into our main topic here, I don't necessarily think it has to be this way.
No.
I think that there is a reality. Okay, well, my point of view, Lincoln's doomed. Ford doesn't know what the heck they're doing, and they're just kind of flailing around. That can go away. We can ignore that. Infiniti, I don't even know, but Cadillac has clout. That name still means something in popular culture, even today.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And while GM's doing a lot of flailing around with the brand, I don't think that it's all doomed for Cadillac. I just think that some hard decisions will have to be made. And I think that we can make those for GM. I think we can save Cadillac.
Can we charge them for our time?
We're going to have to at this point.
And we can get this done in an hour. We've proven we can do this, so it's going to have to be an astronomical hourly rate.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing about Cadillac. Just in the past year, it's been talked about by people at GM as many different things, some of which are tangentially related, some of which are not related at all.
Some are diametrically opposed.
Right. I'm trying to remember what was first last year. First, it was going to be, of course, the new mid-engine supercar that GM was building was going to be a Cadillac,
Yep.
not a Corvette.
Still might be.
Right, which is still possible. Then technology was going to be Cadillac's thing. They were going to be the first one with the Super Cruise, and it was going to be exclusive on all Cadillac models.
That's right. The commercial with the guy taking his hands off the wheel that aired like once.
That
And then
one
everybody
time.
called him out on it.
Yep. And actually, Mary Barra, the CEO of GM, just reaffirmed the commitment, Cadillac's commitment to technology and innovation. That doesn't mean anything. Cool. This week, Cadillac is going to become GM's. It's going to become a fully electric brand inside of GM, which I think isn't necessarily opposed to the technology thing.
I don't think it comes hand in hand for a lot of it.
Yep, but they're also going to become their SUV brand, but they're also going to keep the CT6 around, which we just talked about a few weeks ago is going to get canceled. But they're also, it just seems like every time someone from GM gets on a microphone
And
or on
says
record,
something about Cadillac, it's different.
They just say stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever's around to say, they say it. There's a quote that I found in an article today. Cadillac wants to make 2019 its year. They're pushing for a, quote, unprecedented product assault. I don't know what that means.
Are they going to hurl products at us?
I think what it means
Should we
is-
wear
I
helmets?
think it's mean they're going to go out and crash Cadillacs into people just as a form of viral marketing.
So I'm not a marketing expert.
That's
Nick.
risky.
That would be you. But I don't think that's a good investment.
It's risky.
It's risky. I'll give them that. It's
Now-
outside of the box thinking.
I could see if they're going for the technology aspect, almost hurling Cadillacs into people, but proving that they avoid the people. See, that works.
Still risky.
Right, but could have a better outcome.
So the last quote, the unprecedented product assault is attributed to Deborah Wall, who is Cadillac's chief marketing officer.
Yeah, that would be the chief marketing officer that would say
Indeed.
something like that.
Well, she
A
went
product
on.
assault.
She went on to say that she expects double-digit
Sales.
global growth for Cadillac.
What's her evidence?
That's just what she's
Show
expecting.
your work.
There's no evidence. She's just
Oh, so
expecting
she's
that.
Elon Musking it. Got it.
Low key.
Yeah.
Low key she is.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of where she can get. It's not going to come. It's not coming from the U.S. I've got sales figures here in front of me for all the current models. It's not going to come from China.
It could.
Double-digit growth.
No matter what, to get double digits, even if it's 10%, you got to sell here. You just do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Nick, your sales numbers are historical sales numbers.
up to 2018.
We're
yep.
here to fix Cadillac.
We are.
So once we do that, then they could definitely sell here.
Absolutely.
Right. So it might not be this year. It might be next year. I mean, it's a big company. It takes a while to implement things.
My favorite phrase: "It takes a long time to steer the ship."
Got to move a big ship.
Kill me.
So let's think here. How do we start saving Cadillac? Do we start with what we think their biggest problem is? Do we start with Nick's sales figures so we know how bad the problem is? Do we review all the things they've done wrong in the last year? What do we do?
Well, we just kind of went over the year in review for Cadillac, and just from an announcement standpoint, I guess. I mean, if we want to go through the numbers just to add like historical perspective to it, but I think we have to define what the problem is. And I just based on what, the stuff you just presented here, it sounds to me like there is zero alignment in the front in the head offices. Like,
Yeah.
because everybody, You put a microphone in one person's face today and the next person's face tomorrow, there's no unified message. And if there's not a unified message, that tells me that they don't have like a unified, aligned like objective or goals to try to meet.
Clearly they don't.
So if they don't know what they're striving for, I think that's the reason where the messages is coming. So I think they have to sit down and say, okay, what is it in the next year, 2, 5, whatever. What are we really trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to make this all electric? Are we trying to make this? Let's make this decision now instead of just spouting off all this other random shit to keep our name in the headlines.
Right, and again, those things can go together. You can absolutely electrify and add technology.
Yes.
In one brand. That could be Cadillac's goal, but by that same token, then is it really that smart to make that brand also have that flagship V8 that we talked about and or a gas-powered supercar with that same V8 engine that may or may not cross over with the Corvette? Is that really what you want to do? And then push SUVs somehow at the same time?
Well, right, exactly. So what is the goal? Are we going to be, I don't think you can be, I mean, you can kind of mix the technology and the SUV part.
Sure.
But if you're going electric, if you want to make this the electric brand, you've got to make that decision and devote the time and the resources to it and go all in on it. You can't be like,
well,
we're the electric brand with an Escalade.
But let's not forget.
And a mid-engine supercar. And
Cadillac's already failed twice at introducing an electric car.
Yeah, I've got right here. The ELR.
Was it 2 times or 3 times?
Was the last one.
There's the ELR. I thought there was one before that.
And I think that this dichotomy of you can't do this if you do this is false. Because I think you can look at one of the brands that we talked about, and you know where I'm going with this, because it's me. You look at Audi. Audi is absolutely all in on the e-tron platform. But that doesn't mean that they're not making gas-powered sedans, the TT, the TTRS, RS3s, RS4s.
Let me hold you back on that,
But they also didn't
though.
come out and say, we're going to make this an electrified brand.
Well, no. But actually, what I want to pause Tristan on there is what you got to remember is that same nomenclature that you said ELR and it threw me off.
E-tron.
The e-tron has been around since 2009.
Right.
They've been pushing the e-tron as the future of Audi for 10 years, and not one car has gone into production based on that name.
Right. Yeah, but I'm saying, that's the recent thing that they've done, is that they're going to now. Because they
Right, they brought it in again.
They have one scheduled for actual production now. And and then they're moving towards electrifying once they get that done, kind of almost in a Tesla-esque fashion. You create your Model S, and then you reach out and electrify the rest of the brand. And we'll see how that goes, but I don't think we can put the stamp on saying, if you're going to electrify your brand, you must do so immediately and stop producing gas cars. I think you can still put a lot of the technology that you're going to put in your electric cars in your regular gas-powered cars, and you can create really good gas-powered cars while you are electrifying your brand. You can set an end goal that is not a toggle switch.
I think
I didn't say it's like, we're going to stop, everything's going to be electric tomorrow. There's got to have to be a process. There's got to be a phasing out process with your models. But you've got to make that commitment. You can't say, we're going to electrify the brand, but also have an Escalade or also have this mid-engine gas-powered supercar. If you're going to electrify the brand, make those steps, but eventually it's going to have to be electric and you have to be committed to it. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's really the supercar that really throws the wrench into it, and the other part of it is comparing Cadillac to Audi sounds really good, and it feels really good to think about it. Cadillac does not have the recent track record to merit that comparison.
Well, they don't. That's why I think that's my biggest point coming into this is I think Cadillac, of all of the brands in the United States, I think Cadillac could be the most equivalent to Audi given certain things. Not right now. I don't think they are. But I think they have the right, or the ability to have the right market segment for that. Because I think when you compare them, I'm drawing lines between that have to curve around obstacles, They're not a direct comparison
Of
yet,
course.
but you can get there. I think that GM is the American Volkswagen.
I'm going to counter with, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm going to counter with Acura.
but of the big three.
Yeah, big three are kind of over. I don't want to be that guy, but the big three are kind of over.
Mopar is, but I don't think Ford and GM are yet.
Okay.
And so I think when you're looking at that, when you're looking at what that can be, I think GM has always been kind of the middle of the road.
Sure.
They're
I'll
not,
buy that.
They're not, and that's Audi. Audi is never as expensive as a BMW or a Mercedes.
Right.
Or haven't been for at least for a long time. And I think that that's my big push is I think my big flag waving moment to turn around Cadillac is they need better engineers.
I think that's really...
And I think that's what differentiates these German and even Japanese luxury brands from the ones that are having trouble. The ones that are succeeding have all the engineering support in the world from their respective parent companies. Now, whether they choose to use it, I think the choice on, for example, in my opinion, the most boring luxury brand, Lexus, is they've decided to yoink more wealthy Toyota customers and pull them up to that price point versus attempting to bring someone in who would never buy a Toyota product. And I think that's what Audi does to a certain extent, is it brings in people who might never buy a Volkswagen product. There are some that would, and we talked about that earlier, but I think that the engineering and the visual design draws people in. And I think that Cadillac has a very striking visual design. I think that, whether you like it or not,
it is striking. It's just appalling.
Yeah. So, I think that they can refine that. They already have something that at least draws people in. If they can match that and say, like, we have this crazy, like the aluminum block engines that Audi was making, we've got this great technology.
Yeah.
And we have the engineering chops to pull off fantastic gas-powered cars while we're letting the engineers loose on the electrified future. I think that's a big selling point.
I think that the better engineering thing strikes right to what I think the biggest problem with Cadillac is. The entirety of my consciousness as it came to cars, and I didn't know this term at the time, even when I was young, but every time I've been in a Cadillac, ever, it's felt like a parts bin special.
Yeah.
Because even though you don't notice it consciously at times, you realize that, the wheel in this ATS is the same as the one in the Cruise, and this is the V. You know what I mean? The steering columns the shifter stack is from here. This glove box came out of a something. You know what I mean? It all, even if it's not necessarily the truth, it all looks cheap. It all feels cheap. The dashboards are plasticky, and these are cars that the announcement for that CT6 that they're apparently not killing off, but maybe killing off, the starting price for that Halo tier 1, which would be basically like the ATS V, is $90,000. The ATS V was $75,000, and you get it and it feels like a piece of crap. It just does. It doesn't feel premium. It doesn't feel like luxury.
No, and I think
was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think those two go hand in hand. I think when you've got people who care about, maybe that's the summary. Cadillac needs to care about making cars.
I just don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
We had talked about this on an episode at some point last year, and maybe I brought it up. Like what? So, yeah, like you had mentioned, it's the wheel from this, it's the center console from this, it's the seats from this. So what's the difference? So like, why is this car that I'm sitting in with all the same interior bits, $25,000 more? Is it because of that badge and the striking headlights? That's the difference. Like, I think that's when we were talking about how we would fix things if we were king for a day and I took GM. Like, make the difference in Cadillac worth something, like a different engine, a new technology that the other car, not just, hey, we'll put some fake wood and a badge and some lights and we're going to charge people a $25,000 premium for it.
Right, for the signature, the signature badge.
Right.
I don't know if Cadillac even has the option to do that, though. I don't think that Cadillac as a brand has the freedom to get better engineers or to do better engineering.
Especially with what it sounds like the struggles with increased production costs are right now for GM. They just announced they're shutting down 3 plants.
But not even that. I'm thinking back to the announcement of that, was it called the Blackbird, that engine? The one with the lifetime spark plugs that we all made fun of?
Oh, yeah.
To be clear, that engine itself was fairly impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
But what happened when that was announced? I just remember this so clearly. The engine was announced. Johan, who was a CEO at the time, said stridently out loud in public that it would never go anywhere but Cadillac. He was canned the next week. And that engine disappeared from consciousness and appeared in what is now being assumed to be the new Corvette. So even when Cadillac engineers come up with something specifically for Cadillac only, it gets taken by GM, which was the exact problem that Saturn had.
Yeah.
The exact same problem.
And Pontiac.
And Pontiac, exactly. And Pontiac, too.
And we talked about that on the last, 2 episodes ago. We're talking about what do you bring back from the dead, and we were talking about the G8 GT.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's really still kind of around as the SS, which is also not
around
anymore either, but it continued as the SS because, Chevy took that and went, oh, we can use this, and took it.
Yeah.
After they killed Pontiac.
Right.
And it's like, it feels like just pillaging at that point, and it doesn't look good.
And there's another piece of that sort of in the relief or in the shadow of Cadillac. At some point, there has to be a decision made at GM. Will you continue with Cadillac? Will you continue with Buick? It's not working with both, and it never will work with both going forward.
I think I again, going back to that other episode, I think you can continue with Buick as like an international brand.
I at this point, I don't think they have a choice there, especially in China.
Chinese Holden, you
Right.
won't get them here, but sell them there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit on something when you said like that engine kind of disappeared and then made its way out. I think that's part of what you do see with these luxury brands that are part of other big brands. Again, I always keep throwing the exception of Lexus because I think they don't get much that is Lexus only.
They don't get much at all.
But that's because they sell based on, I would bet 90% of it is simply how comfortable the cars are.
You know what? I honestly think it's the striking range theory. You could you could get the limited Toyota, or
you get Lexus, which is just that much better and that much more. Yeah, but I think when you look at Audi compared to Volkswagen, and Acura compared to Honda, there are some significant discrepancies, but that's because they get stuff that is strictly them.
Yes.
Like as much as I don't prefer it because I don't like things messing with my driving style, but that super handling all-wheel drive that Acura has, that's their thing.
Yep.
Even when Volkswagen was using all-wheel drive, 4Motion is only kind of a full quattro system.
Right.
And driveline systems, that 4.2 liter V8 that Audi had got, mashed together a bunch of times to become the W16 and the Veyron, but it didn't go down.
Right.
You never saw that really in any Volkswagen products except maybe the Phaeton.
I was just going to say the Phaeton.
But I think that had the
12.
W8.
I think it 8 and a 12.
Yeah, which was actually 2 4-cylinder engines bonked together.
Yeah.
So
Such a funny thing.
So I think it's something that you don't see that technology sharing going down because they value the strength of that brand and they want to have a luxury brand that's worth something. And even though we bash on Lexus, what technology from the LFA went anywhere else?
That's a really good point.
I like to make fun of Lexus. I do. I really joke about them being gussied up Toyotas because a lot of times they are. But that LFA is truly something very impressive and very special. And that technology
very Lexus
and did not go anywhere else.
And remember, boomeranging off of that, even though now there are rumors about the LFA coming back,
Yes,
right?
there are.
Remember, Lexus right now not only has a racing division, but they have their own performance tier cars, one of which is a hybrid. And, so LFA, back to those performance cars, that hybrid tech, if they bring back the LFA, is going in that LFA.
Yeah.
All of that stayed in-house at Lexus.
Yep.
Every bit of it.
Yep. All the F Sport stuff is strictly Lexus.
Yep.
And all the Quattro GmbH stuff is strictly Audi. M Division is BMW, which they have their own thing. But
Right. And it gets a little muddier over at AMG. I never know who runs who at that place.
Yeah, and although it's possible, you don't really see a lot of HPD stuff that is street car.
That's Honda.
That's not Acura. Now, you will see it on race cars.
Right, yes.
Like
Sorry.
something like the Muscle Milk was a Honda HPD, not Acura HPD.
Right.
But mostly racing HPD stuff is Honda, but street car is all Acura, and that's really where it's being used. Those race cars are being used to test technology to put in Acuras, not street Hondas.
Right. For the most part.
So I think that exclusivity of engineering is a big hallmark that Cadillac almost had with that engine, but they didn't allow them to keep it. And I think that might be the happy medium between Aston Martin, which has to go public and sell shares. Aston Martin Lagonda Holdings,
right?
To stay solvent because they need to get capital. To companies that invest in their luxury brands but let them do their own thing. And guard that thing jealously. Like Volkswagen sees the value of having Audi as a development luxury division, and eventually some basic stuff trickles down. Like when they came up with it's a stratified injection.
Yeah,
that moved down into the Volkswagens eventually, but it's basic injection stuff,
right?
Not
which then
fancy.
Became like required standards.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just trying to think. I mean, obviously, we know the end result of Cadillac introducing their own technology. And obviously, this has been a pattern with GM for some time. I'm just wondering what could be Cadillac's thing. Because if it's not this engine, and maybe it's not Super Cruise, and clearly it's not electric cars.
Yet. Because they just haven't made that full decision to do it.
Or if that's what they're going to do. I keep trying to think of a thing, a hook out of that entire field of things that they've talked about that would actually sell Cadillacs. The only answer I can come up with is SUVs on the strength of the Escalade. That's the only thing I can think of.
Not just the strength of the Escalade. The Escalade has been a staple forever, but the XT5.
Is that actually selling? I don't know that I've ever seen one.
So
have I seen one?
Let's look at some numbers. So in 2018, this is sales results in the United States for the entire Escalade family. So It includes the ESV, the EXT, all in 36,900 units moved.
Okay. That's not bad.
Not bad. The XT5 on its own, same time period, 2018, 60,565.
Does that include leases?
This is sales results.
Is the XT5 a fleet vehicle?
I don't think there's any Cadillac fleet vehicles unless there's like high level government. I don't know.
I'm just thinking rental cars. Are they selling those as the high end SUV rentals? Oh, because I just find it hard to believe 60,000 people went out and bought a Cadillac in 1 year.
When you're a business, does it matter if it's a rental car company or not?
It does.
That's what I'm saying.
That's my question.
It absolutely does not matter.
There's
selling cars is selling cars.
That's really interesting to me.
Who cares who buys them? We sold them.
Yep.
So then are we seeing the specter of yet another weird positioning issue that Cadillac has? Are we now at the point where GMC has stolen so many Escalade sales with whatever their dumb
As
one
we
is?
discussed last episode, whatever one.
Yukon.
Yeah, Yukon. Is that now the point we're at there? Because right now, and maybe maybe this is just me being dumb and just realizing it, the trend I'm seeing here is that every time Cadillac has a thing, anytime any GM brand has a thing, the rest of GM selfishly goes, no, that's ours, as in GM's, and then puts it everywhere, and no one gets anything fun, and all the good brands die.
With the exception of the absolute fortress that is the Corvette.
Well, I mean, that may as well be its own company at this point.
Which
It can probably survive on its own without GM at this point.
That was my only other idea, is make Cadillac... This is my wild moonshot option.
Sure.
Is make Cadillac like the GM Bugatti, where it makes 2 cars.
Wow. But what would they be?
And that's a good question.
Well, there's that mid-engine sports car would be one.
And then...
I know that in your heart you know it to be true that it's a Corvette.
And honestly, I think...
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I think they have strayed from their roots, and that's the problem.
So Cadillac's roots in my mind is an 18-foot pink Elvis car.
Even before that. Now, think about if they could do an all-electric, given the wheelbase, you'd have plenty of room for batteries. All-electric, like V16 limousine.
I see what you're saying.
Something as ridiculous as that.
Right. Well, they had that concept a billion years ago, the Cadillac 16.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Think about something like that if they made the push as a direct punch in the face to Tesla of an electric luxury brand, but an actual luxury brand. Like you're going to want to sit in the back of it. Or
make it almost like a Rolls.
Yeah. I think they were for a long time, along with some others, Packards and stuff like that. They were the American Rolls-Royce. They were hand-built. They were super luxurious. And no, that's not going to get you margin. It's only going to get you margin. It's not going to get you volume.
Right.
But what you could do is make Cadillac the super luxury brand for GM, which gets them into that space. You've got and that might fix the Buick Cadillac fight. Make Buick your luxury brand.
That's where it hit to me. Now, if it's a moonshot, they're not going to sell a ton. It's going to be a couple of models tops, but they're not fighting amongst themselves within GM for market share.
Volkswagen, Audi, Bugatti, Chevy, Buick, Cadillac.
Man,
just take it a step up.
Now
that's
not a terrible idea.
requires
Buick to do their homework and put some good work together for GM. But
well, I mean that maybe then
why would
that
they put good work if it's GM just going to take it and
that would be the move then in my mind, because and maybe this is incredibly short-sighted, but what I see happening is GM taking all of this tech, all of these ideas, all these great concepts, shoehorning them into a brand like Buick that should have been cut free 7 to 10 years ago, and making Buick specifically survive like a parasite in the most literal term. Because as quickly, as much as I want to say I don't know who buys Cadillacs, I can't even begin to imagine who buys
a Buick.
Buicks. And that Venn diagram has to be just one circle, right? Am I wrong?
Peyton Manning, he was in the commercials.
For which brand?
For Buick.
I don't even remember that.
So was Shaq.
What?
Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods?
Well, that was before all the affairs.
Yeah. Yeah, more recently it was Peyton Manning and Shaq. You don't know Buick. That was like their thing.
No,
I don't. That's the problem.
And I don't want
No, look it up. YouTube it.
I guess in my mind, no matter what, I don't see a way, even in this scenario, that Buick survives, because they don't have the clout. They don't have any name recognition. They don't have, to me, any
they
appeal.
have Buick has been around for a long time.
They are the oldest name, but what I'm saying
They
is
have
if
they have a name recognition, but the name itself doesn't carry as much weight. It doesn't
carry anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
I
But
will
Cadillac still does.
Yes.
I will put another offer on the table, gentlemen.
Okay. He hit the flourish, the arm flourish before he said this, you guys.
Yeah.
So you didn't like Chevy, Buick, Cadillac,
Nick is completely sold on that one, I think.
Yeah, I was on board with that.
but what if I do you one better? We pull episode 2 back in.
Uh-huh.
And we go Chevy, Pontiac, Cadillac.
Don't tease me with Pontiac.
Because that could be your luxury sport division.
Yes, definitely.
Chevy is your consumer car division with the Corvette, but whatever. That always is going to throw a wrench in anything GM does because
It's not even worth discussing. That will
Yeah.
always be a Chevy. That will
yeah,
always
exactly.
be
Yep,
a
yep.
Corvette.
So
don't
right,
don't
which
even
is
bring it
that's
up.
right. That's the weird thing, but
Don't ask Mary to change that. That's not changing.
yes, Chevy is your consumer brand. Pontiac as your leather seated performance mobile.
Yep.
And Cadillac as the new renaissance of American luxury Bugatti style.
That would be pretty cool.
Bugatti or Rolls.
I was going to say Rolls. I'm not seeing Cadillac as like ultimate performance, top speed type stuff. I'll see him more as the Rolls or Maybach type
Yeah.
situation.
That would be great, but I think that we're just stuck with Buick.
No,
In
because
that
Buick is
role.
now
No.
going to be the international Chevy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could actually
Yes.
work.
And remember, we are trying to fix this. This is we as the first episode said we three kings, but really it was we three kings of three different kingdoms.
Yeah.
We are in this case the troika that runs GM.
Whoa. The
Sophomore year. I can't believe it.
Dude, he is. We have to step our game up.
I know.
Three-way,
This is motivating.
Three-way.
And then he comes at us with three.
then I
Is what brings that.
then I throw it all away.
Oh man, everything that was so cool about this.
Dang. All right. Anyway,
And we're back.
because we as a group are running GM. The conceit is we can do whatever we want.
Of course.
What do we think will work? And I think that'll work.
I actually do think that GM just disapparating Buick off the shores of the United
Send it
States.
to China.
No one would know first.
Who would
no
notice?
one would know. But if they actually brought back Pontiac as that brand, as something, even if the first car they came out with was some kind of retuned, redesigned Camaro, which is supposedly what they were going to. They're going to bring back the Firebird.
Yeah.
Even if that's the first car they
That
brought
would be.
back.
But
that-
just think of
oh,
the- just think-
about that marketing campaign, Mr. Nicholas.
I was gonna say, think of the name badges you're bringing back: the Firebird, the Bonneville.
if it's the
Trans Am.
if the
Trans Am.
Firebird, if the Firebird
Hell,
is
even
the
recent
first
history that-
Pontiac back from the ashes, literally a phoenix.
Think of that campaign. It's hot.
Yeah,
It's a phoenix.
it's a Phoenix. It's
on
supposed
fire.
to be.
Oh man.
I mean,
I think we fixed it.
So then wait. Give me Cadillac of the future's ideal lineup. What's in it?
I think we're looking very Rolls Royce. I think you maybe 2 or 3 cars.
And an SUV.
Including that 2 or 3 products. So
Really?
kind of like Rolls Royce has like the Cullinan, the Phantom,
the Wraith,
and the Spirit
Ghost.
Ghost. Yes,
Wraith, the Ghost, and the
Phantom, and the Cullinan.
Yes.
So
They have 4.
yeah. So I think you could have the Escalade still be
Have to.
the luxury SUV, but just up to 11. Hand stitched seats, bespoke, choose your interior.
Yep.
Like just whatever you want. And then the 16,
Okay.
but
Full electric?
right, find a way to build that number 16 into the creation of this vehicle.
16 volts.
Whatever, I don't know.
16 batteries.
16 batteries,
16,000
16 cells. I mean,
16 miles an
What
hour.
if
Hey, 16-minute supercharging.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. What if we take this a step further as far as the bespoke hand stitch and all this kind of stuff? Not rolling them off a line to sell them on a dealership. Cadillacs are made to order.
That would be pretty sweet.
It would be daring, but I think it would work.
Made
Put,
on
like,
demand.
one on the show floor, like this is what you could get.
Yep. We can't have this one, but we will sit down with you and we will build you your Cadillac.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I mean, obviously, I've never stepped foot in a dealership that sells Rolls Royces, but
I don't know how they operate.
Is there one?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've seen one.
not here, but
Oddly enough, in Mexico City, I saw a Rolls Royce
cool.
dealership.
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that just shows a interesting disparity.
But yeah,
I was thinking
Escalade.
like Calabasas.
Escalade, their big car meant to be ridden in. I vote that
truck,
way.
you mean?
No,
Escalade?
like Escalade, and then the big car.
Oh,
meant,
and the
meant
big car.
to be ridden in, like their
Yes.
actual limousine car. And then a large car, a la the Bentley Continental GT or the Wraith.
So one that is luxurious yet has sporting pretenses or performance pretenses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or at least that flavor for people who want to actually drive their ridiculously luxurious car themselves.
Right.
Probably a two-seater.
Is the Continental's not a two-seater?
It's
is
not,
it?
but that would be my suggestion.
I don't know if it needs to be a 2.
Two-seater with a giant trunk.
Well, I'm just thinking the time that Cadillac made that knockoff Corvette thing. What the heck was that called? XLR?
Yes.
Yeah.
XLR. Yeah,
Yep.
that was. Man, just every time I think about a new Cadillac, it was a failure.
Yep.
And I think because they're mass-produced.
I mean, I think you have to be right.
Yeah.
There's something that feels very wrong about getting in a Cadillac and seeing the wheel from a cruise. And there's something very wrong about even the performance model ATSVs and CTSVs and even the top end luxury. They don't feel right, and they never felt right to me, especially with the way people talk about the name Cadillac because it
Yes.
has such cultural impact in America.
And I think you'd be able to translate that into the same way people say, "Oh, Rolls Royce."
That would be something, especially given their recent history.
Absolutely. And selfishly, Bentley races the Continental in GT3 competition.
do.
You could race one of these super high-end Cadillacs.
You can even keep the name on the DPI cars.
Shit, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, they could.
Yeah.
I'm just still sorry to go back to the 60,000 XT5s they sold last year. Who's buying those?
We shall investigate.
Let us follow up.
So that's what, their midsize SUV?
I think so.
Yeah. Like the Traverse size, or is it the Equinox size?
I think it's Equinox size, I believe.
Yes, it would be Equinox because there's what, 5, 6?
Yeah.
The higher number is the
XT6?
Traverse.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
XT4, 5, 6.
Yeah. So the 5 is the midsize.
Yes.
Is the XT4, is that the Trax?
Yeah.
It just came out this
The-
past
the-
year.
The baby one?
Yeah.
It started selling in July
That's
of
why.
this
How many
past
did they
year.
sell?
7,800 in the first year.
Nope. They didn't. That's a lie. I don't believe it. I flatly refuse.
You know what? I bet you a ton of money that it was fleet sales.
I think
No, but
Cadillacs
here's
are
why.
cars.
Here's why. If you look at the numbers, July, August, September are all at 71. October, November, December are all at 2,524.
Okay. Yep.
So it was batch orders,
Definitely.
total batch orders.
71.
Yeah, just a little introductory, little seating. Here you go. Try some. Let us know how you like them.
70 in a dealer model.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So,
Wow, that's a very interesting.
Yeah,
would be
I
sold
just
on-
noticed that the numbers are exactly the same, so it had to just be batch orders.
Yeah, you're right.
So in summary,
I would be sold on that one.
our way that we want to fix Cadillac.
It was more, we kind of expanded this to GM
We
as a
fix
whole.
GM for the most part.
Because you can't talk about Cadillac without talking about the environment in which it rests, and
Yeah.
unfortunately,
So Chevy becomes U.S. Volkswagen. We punt Buick overseas, mainly China.
yep.
Big arrow on my sheet. Buick's over here.
Yep.
We raise Pontiac from the ashes.
In a firestorm of marketing genius.
Yes.
That would be.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I would
And
love
then
that.
we bring luxury back to America.
With Cadillac, made to order. Well, look, so and this ties into all the other stuff we were talking about, right? So Cadillac needs to have a unified message. They need to align on an objective.
Yes.
That objective should be
Luxury.
in America.
Yep.
American Rolls Royce. Couple 2-3 models. Man, couple 2-3 is so Wisconsin.
Yeah.
A couple 2-3.
Couple 1, 2, 3 there.
A couple
once
2-3
there,
of them.
guy.
Made to order. Damn, almost hand built.
Yep.
Just
As much as they can.
As
If
much
FCA
as
can somehow pull it off.
as much as they can. It's going to involve better engineers, like you had
gotta get
mentioned.
some.
It's going to need some, and General Motors, let them keep it. Let them keep their work.
Let anyone keep anything. Just once. Just try it one time.
See if it works.
I wonder what we got to do to get a meeting with GM. Just to sit down with them and just kind of. We can build a PowerPoint.
Mary knows the email, inbox at CheckEnginePodcast.
That's right, Mary. Inbox at checkenginepodcast.com. We won't even charge you for this service.
I might.
Okay. And Andrew might charge you for the service.
And if he does, I'm going to have to.
Well, we're all in this
I
together.
don't want to get
so-
left out of that money.
So, yeah.
We might charge you.
I mean, by that time, we'll probably have an LLC, so you can just pay the LLC.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll split it up 3 ways.
I can't believe that you would get me on board with this plan of yours, Tristan, by promising Pontiac to me. And now I know,
Wheeling and
obviously,
dealing.
it will never happen.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
It does.
It
It
hurts.
stings a little. It doesn't sting. It aches. It
Yeah.
does. It does.
I never expected that to be the outcome of GM closing all those various manufacturers they did at the time. Like, why is Pontiac the one that now looks like the worst decision? Does anyone have an answer to that?
I think it's because they closed the brand while it was just in the process of releasing a bunch of good stuff. Because I
Definitely.
think the last taste we got of Pontiac, even those ones that were not super exciting, the one that was based on the cruise platform, G5, G4,
Yeah, something like that.
G6, I thought.
No, the little ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
G5, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Even those were compared to the cruise, they were the better, more exciting version.
Sorry, they were Cobalt based.
At
Yeah.
the time, which is the same thing.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they dumped that name because they wanted to stop association with the Cobalt. So they
killed too many people.
They re-engineered it. And made it the cruise, and it's the same platform.
Yeah.
So I think the last taste we got on the way out was, wow, they're making a lot of cool stuff. And then they went away.
Brutal.
I think that's why it hurts the most.
The spy pictures or the teaser image of the reimagined, that I forget what they called it. I think they called it like Fire Breather or something like that. The Pontiac, the body engineered Camaro is just like etched in the back of my retinas. I see that shit at night all the time.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like those weird, like, abandoned places where there's still stuff inside.
Yeah.
Like, they were releasing spy photos and plans but gone. Just gone. And I think that hurt.
Yeah, and I think if they would have cut Pontiac out during the time that the Aztec was new, nobody would have cared.
No.
Even at this point. But I think it's that they teased us. They were coming up the slope from the bottom of the curve, right? They were getting better and better and better, and we didn't get to see what their full potential
people were
was.
excited to see what they were going to do, and then we never got to see it.
Right. So it's left that taste in our mouth. We're still anticipating what Pontiac could have been.
Yeah, that must be it. I mean, it's tough.
It's tough.
Actually, okay, so if we go with this plan, the only question that remains, what happens to these electrification plans? What brand at GM becomes their electric? I actually think the answer is Chevy,
I agree.
because of the success they had with the Volt, and they abandoned it just completely.
The Volt and the Bolt.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the little one.
The Bolt's the fully electric one, and they're still kind of working on that one. That's the one that
Right,
got. That's the one that.
right.
That's
Yes,
the one
yes,
that
yes.
got. Other than the ridiculous metrics you can't measure, that got actually better reviews from all sorts of places the big one everyone points to is Consumer Reports, because Consumer Reports had that like the test that the Tesla broke because they couldn't like measure like the toughness of the A pillar or something. I don't know. And it's like, oh look, Consumer Reports can't even review this thing, and it's like, but then you run.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was the Tesla, and then the Bolt blew it out of the water in actually being a car.
Right.
Like electric range, charge time, build quality, and it's like, and everybody was like, this is a damn good electric car. And I think so. I think they're already, they compared it to the Model 3, and they're like, this is better than the Model 3. It's not as luxurious, but as a commodity consumer vehicle, it's better than the Model 3.
Right.
And it's going to be cheaper, and they can actually make them. Man. I think you're right. I think it's Chevy.
That would be great.
Where does GMC fall into this?
I think it needs to go.
I think it needs to go.
I think it's a relic of when they wanted to be able to sell vehicles to, like, when they wanted to sell trucks, but they didn't want to roll out a Chevy dealer.
Yep.
I should have my dad write another blog post about that. He's got the whole story. There were like limitations on like how many different types of dealers people could have places, or like they were selling agricultural vehicles and they wanted to sell like consumer vehicles too, and so they rolled out GMC to sell like just trucks,
Kind of like a workaround.
yeah. And I think it's a relic of that, and I think you're gonna have a lot of mad dealers because you've got dealers that are only like was it John Paul around here was like Buick, Pontiac, GMC.
Yes, no, that was a popular combo. I'm trying to think. The Cadillac dealership just down the road was Cadillac, GMC, and I think it was Pontiac too. No, it wasn't Pontiac. Just Cadillac and GMC.
Yeah.
And now it's primarily just Cadillac because GMC is now at the Chevy dealer down the road.
Yeah, which that needs to stop because that's literally two of the same car in the same
That
showroom.
I can't stand.
Like, so for me, GMC would go.
What do you think, Nick?
And just option them as packages on Chevy vehicles.
I totally agree.
That's a tough one.
That seems so clear as an answer to me.
I think GMC still holds a lot of brand equity though.
But you wouldn't lose that if you just made it a package deal. Like the Denali is inside the GMC brand now. Just keep that same nomenclature, but make
it a Silverado Denali.
Yeah, Silverado GMC Denali. Literally just tack another name on, since that's all they're doing over there anyway.
I don't know. I'm not sold on that. I'm gonna have to think about it a little more. I still think in this plan that we're coming up with, GMC is really not hurting anything. Like nothing we're doing here is actually affecting it.
That's true, with the singular exception of the Escalade. I strongly believe, because it used to be only the Cadillac. I mean, that was the car. The Escalade used to be the car of popular culture. Everyone referenced it. Everyone talked about it. And there's been a shift. You can actually see it on TV. Every single commercial for a GM truck that's not a Silverado is for a GMC product. Every single one across the entire line. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's their strategy. They clearly want that. And maybe it's because the profits are bigger on the GMCs because they're the same car but more expensive. But, GM created the situation where GMC is stealing sales from what was their cash cow. I'll bet you the numbers would back me up on that. I don't have any evidence of it, but I'll bet you that would work out.
No, I don't disagree with that. I would be willing to cut GMC just because the Escalade holds so much.
Or did,
used to. If you want to return, well, not if we're going with this ultra luxury plan, though.
True. Then it wouldn't even matter.
It wouldn't even matter. Currently, I'd be willing to cut out the Yukon just because it's kind of, it cuts into what the Escalade's trying to do, or what they're trying to do with the Escalade. But with this plan, if we're taking luxury and putting it on steroids, then they're not competing in the same space anymore.
Honestly, here's a potential solution. I say the biggest problem I have with GMC is the Sierra truck line. Because I feel like you could just option a nicer Silverado package and it's literally the same truck.
Totally agree.
Mechanically, they are the same truck. It's how many leather seats do you want? And how much chrome do you want in the grill? Is like that's what the GMC difference is in the truck. I would even say make Pontiac your like kind of going after like European luxury sedans and like SUVs.
Yeah.
So like
BMW.
Yeah, BMW, where you have like a sporty SUV like an X5 would be your Pontiac.
Right.
But then kind of like almost like a American Range Rover, GMC trucks, like GMC SUVs.
So again, ultra luxury. Or not
Even
necessarily.
really. No, because like when you look at Range Rover versus something like the Bentley Bentayga or the Cullinan, like that's the range you're looking at. Like you're gonna it's a premium thing.
Yes.
But you can walk to a dealer and say like, I want one of those today, please, and they'll have one to give to you right that day if you want one.
That is actually really interesting to bring up Land Rover when you talk about GMC, because I would never put those two in the same class. But I suppose in a perverse way, that's the idea that GMC is selling.
It's just the American version, and I think you can refine that if you allow them to do that. If they're not trying to badge engineer Tahoes into into
Whatever
these
it is.
like just basically putting fancy leather seats in a Suburban or a Tahoe and calling it a GMC luxury truck. If they're allowed to design their own luxury SUVs, that would be the complement to the sports sedan, sports SUV that Pontiac could offer. But it would net bringing back one brand. Well, it wouldn't net anything, actually, because we're kicking out Buick.
Yeah.
So.
And you can...
Well, we're maintaining Buick, we're just not selling it here.
Right. That's what I mean.
And given that I believe they manufacture in China primarily the vehicles they sell in China.
Yeah, yep.
Because that's where your capacity is highest anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. They're selling all different Buicks in China. They don't even sell the same cars here. I think there's like one model they actually
all
bring
the stuff
over
that they
from China.
sell here was what used to be Opels.
Yes.
Yep.
And they just have the deal to manufacture them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get Buick out of here.
Get out of here, Buick.
So
I
we
think
now have some revisions. So one more summary so far.
So to respond to Aston Martin CEO Aston Martinman.
That's wrong information. I said that, and that's me. That's on me. If somebody gets a Jeopardy question wrong or something,
Tristan,
like
Aston is his first name.
right, it's Martinman is his last name. That's I know, but it's not though. It's what is it?
Andrew Palmer.
Yeah.
I like Aston Martinman better, so we're gonna go with that.
CEO of Aston Martinman.
You should be legally required to change your name to that.
That'd be the best. So he says that luxury brands tied to a bigger company can't survive.
And he named three that
Might not.
might not.
But we just fixed one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Demonstrably not true for the other ones.
Yeah. So we need the unified message to align an objective with the uber luxury. We need the better engineers, and GM needs to let those engineers be those engineers.
Yeah. The Cadillac needs something for Cadillac.
Cadillac needs things for Cadillac.
And to float the rest of this plan, GMC and Pontiac need that too.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Everyone needs their own thing.
Everyone needs their own thing. You can own them on paper. You're still going to reap the rewards of it.
Yeah.
Don't micromanage it.
And underlying technologies, like we discussed with the other, if they come up with some crazy new, like when we're electrifying Chevy, and then you want to electrify your super luxury Cadillac, take that battery cell technology and use that's okay.
Yep.
But don't just start copying cars across all the brands.
It does seem like everyone else has this figured out.
Yeah. That's the weird part about GM to me.
Yeah, anyways. But yeah, so keep things slightly compartmentalized. Huge successes bring across all brands. It doesn't have to be everything for everyone.
Yeah.
But
Raise Pontiac from the dead.
Yeah.
get Buick out of here.
Gotta go.
Got yourself a damn good business model.
And make Cadillac. I actually could definitely get excited about Cadillac as ultra luxury, as the
Can you
name.
imagine like getting into a Cadillac with the wine cooler in the middle of the back seats and shit?
I'm just thinking like the hand stitched leather with like the contrast
And
trim.
oddly, and we can do I think we should do a whole episode on this, by the way. I'm throwing out an episode idea on air. Build your own limousine for yourself.
Oh God.
But for me, the weird thing that always screams luxury is the headliner.
Oh yeah. No. That's super important.
It's weird,
You have
but-
to have a nice, like a really nice. And there's something about. I mean, Rolls is in their own planet.
Because they've got that like starry night thing going on.
You don't
which
You
even
can put
need
like
that.
Which is crazy.
custom ceilings in there, yeah.
Yeah.
There's just something about a high quality headliner. Absolutely.
Totally.
And like that this is also dumb, but like the accent lighting and the dome lighting doesn't look like crap because it looks bad in like almost every car,
yeah.
until it doesn't. Until you see one in an Aston, you're like,
Whoa.
what is that?
Oh, they
awesome.
do that. Yes.
Got to do that. That's what Cadillac needs. A really high quality dome light.
Hey,
I'm not laughing at it too hard.
don't let it be said that we don't pay attention to detail here when we're
That's
coming up
right.
with the business plan. Yeah.
I'm very happy with this one.
I'm so now I'm just bummed that none of this is going to happen and they're just going to fiddly fuck around with Cadillac and Buick and so I don't know. I just don't know what's going to actually happen, but I worry that there's never going to be a clear plan, that we're going to end up with, a mid-engined Corvette and then Cadillac's going to have some half-ass version of it. And it's just, and it's all going to be hopeless. That's what I see in my head actually happening.
Unfortunately, you're right. Unless Mary gets, slides into the DMs. And,
Now is the time.
Now is the time.
We have the plan. We have
got
the
it.
vision.
I got it
If
right
you
here.
want to, we'll put it in a manila folder and seal it with tape or whatever. Super secret plan. Come get it. It's
Ultra
just-
confidential.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
not read.
Eyes only.
We'll build a PowerPoint presentation for you if you'd
We
like.
could probably do a pretty sick PowerPoint.
But we could probably do a pretty good one.
transition slides and sound effects.
How
Totally.
many screeching tire sound effects will we use?
Only screen.
That's all we're going to use. Why? Is there anything else?
I got wild clip arts.
Mad clip art.
Well, since we're talking about clip art, I think we're satisfied with how we're going to fix Cadillac. So
Yeah.
it's about time to wrap this baby up, I think. Let's go through some thank yous before we get out of here.
I guess I've just got to thank Pontiac for. I guess you always want to leave them wanting more, right?
Yeah.
And
That's how bands want to end concerts. Leave them wanting more.
And they absolutely did not let themselves go out quietly.
No.
They knew they were being axed by the end, and they released just screaming versions of the G8 and a bunch of
They went down in a
good.
blaze of glory is what they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thanks to Pontiac.
All right.
You've had one of the coolest emblems gone too soon.
R.I.P. Sir?
I would like to thank the ridiculously skilled individuals that hand paint pinstripes, coach lines, things like that. Because without that, we would not have things like our new luxury Cadillacs.
Very true.
And it's a crazy skill when you watch them do it. Like,
And it
Have you
has to
seen
be
those
by
guys
hand.
who paint the Rolls Royces?
Yeah, it's
Oh my
unbelievable.
God.
you paint a straight line freehand down a 72-foot long car.
It doesn't look like they're. The weird thing is, it looks so effortless.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like they're doing anything.
They just kind of
and then
done.
at the end, it's just like boom, perfect paint line.
and you're like, how?
How?
So I'd like to thank them, and we'd like to bring some of them over for our new reborn Cadillac.
Absolutely.
We'll call Aston Martinman and see if he's got a couple to spare.
I don't know if they do. I
don't know if they do hand-painted
pinstriping
lines.
at
No.
Aston.
Rolls Royceman,
Rolls Royce, his brother, somehow.
cousin.
His cousin Rolls Royceman. Their moms were sisters.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah,
We have to stop recording these so late.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
really do.
So Serious thank you here. I'd like to thank Styled Aesthetic.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Local merchandising company that's super into motorsports, so they're right up our alley. And if any of you out there were at the Rolex 24 at Daytona a couple weeks ago, you would see the Styled Garage, which is Styled Aesthetics traveling motorsports merchandise store. And they've been kind enough to carry our own can coolie. We've got merchandise now, folks. So
We do. We have a merch.
and
merch.
The cool thing about it was, we mentioned to them up front how little we are and how little we have to spend, and they created a very, very light custom package for us to still try to get our name out there.
They did.
Yeah, I think it might. We'll find out after a while here. I'm sure it might be shockingly effective because it's that bag stuffer card that's really going to do it. I think it's going to appear in anybody who buys something from them. And they've got some big names at their tent.
They do. They do all the Michael Shank racing gear.
Penske.
They do
Penske.
That's right. They do Penske.
They
Now
do
I'm scared.
that's big time. They do JDC Miller, the banana boat. They
Right.
do Wayne Taylor Racing, so you can get all your Rodney Sandstorm gear there.
Yeah. If your team wins, their gear is
In Styled
Aesthetic
Yeah.
Garage.
And on your way out, grab a Check Engine Podcast coolie, can koozie.
Yeah, look for us at the biggest race, literally the biggest races in motorsport this year. Find us there.
The biggest endurance races, you probably just missed us at the Rolex. So come find us at Sebring, 12 hours. Come find us at the 6 hours of Watkins Glen. Our merch will be at the Petite Le Mans in October. Obviously, our home race in Road America.
For sure.
Absolutely. And then a couple IndyCar stops in there as well. Including, well, the Big Daddy,
Yeah.
the Indianapolis 500.
500.
We're going to be our can koozies are going to be on sale at the Indianapolis 500.
Heavy breathing.
So thank you to Styled Aesthetic for working with us on that. We really appreciate everything Heidi and her team are doing for us.
Did great work.
Great work. And hopefully it leads to some big success and some more listeners and all that kind of stuff. And as always, thank you to the listeners for tuning in and sharing some time with us. But we don't want to just, like I said in the beginning, we don't want to just have you listen. We want to have you interact. So besides our direct email from the website, which is inbox@checkenginepodcast.com, we're also all over the socials. We've got a Facebook page at Check Engine Podcast. Andrew, what is our Twitter handle?
At Check Engine Pod. Follow us on Twitter.
Tristan, where can they find us on Instagram?
At Check Engine Pod. Follow us on Instagram.
There you go. So you've got 3 socials to find us at. We also have support pages if you're really, really into what you're doing and maybe you don't need a can coolie. We have a support page at anchor.fm, and we also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Check Engine Podcast. We thank you in advance for any of your support there. That about wraps it up for tonight, everybody. We cannot thank you enough. We cannot wait to talk to you again. Take care.
Bye.